this is what's going on. I got some ideas from Steve Gadd with the 32nd note groove that he played, which I first heard on the Leprechaun album back in the 70s, in the late 70s, and that really inspired me more to be a drummer. So after hearing that, it gave me a lot of confidence to understand more about the physics about the drum kit. When you're young, you try different teachers. The first teacher I ever had, I can't remember his name, and most of you guys will probably know of the shop back then, and maybe some of the guys don't know in this generation. It was Louis Tupano's in the city. That was my first shop. I had lessons. I was only about 6, 7 years old. Prior from that, a couple of years later, I ended up meeting up with some people that my father had known, and I ended up meeting up with Graham Morgan, and started to have drum lessons from him. So since then, I had been studying underneath Graham Morgan for almost 22, 23 years, and he can justify that for you. During that period that I had studied underneath Graham Morgan, he's made me a better drummer, he's made me a better person, and he's disciplined me as practicing and inspired me as a person. By that stage, we became friends. We would talk about personal issues and so forth. And he's always talked about his fishing. I remember one weeknight I was having a lesson at Graham's place in South Melbourne. I remember the house, he used to live in the corner, a white house, and Gary Hyde rolled up piss, as you can imagine, and he was doing donuts on the lawn, you know. It was just funny, you know, looking back in those days, you know, and so that's how it all started. So I got a lot of information learning from Gadd, from Graham Morgan, sorry. He's taught me how to play fives, threes. He made me understand a lot of things, rudiments, and a lot of things that you should know as a drummer. And not only he was only a good teacher, but he was a great drummer too. In his era, he was probably one of the best drummers in Australia, or I can probably say equal to the US. His standard was very high. He had told me he had lived in 10 years in the States, and he had told me he had met Buddy Rich. So, by the way, Graham, if you are watching this, I'd like to say thank you, and I'm very appreciated that you're well and still playing drums. And hopefully maybe we will meet up and have a coffee and have a little bit of a chat again. It's been a while since the last time I saw you. But anyway, Graham had a lot of wisdom. He had a lot of profession. His technique was just unbelievable. His hands were just unbelievable. His technique, his handwork, rudimental, remind me of the slow version of Buddy Rich. And he was an idol to Buddy Rich. Graham Morgan always loved Buddy Rich, and I said to Graham once, what do you think? He said it straight out. Do we never another Buddy Rich in this world that we're living in? He was just a freak. He was naturally a freak. He was telling me at the age of 5, Buddy Rich was supporting his parents. He was making £5,000 back then in the recession days. This is probably after the war. So that is just unbelievable, the story and the history about Buddy Rich. And I can see today a lot of drummers is trying to try to get his licks and try to do as fast as he can play he's doing his show, and I respect that for all the drummers, because he's not with us anymore. Okay, so Steve Gadd made himself famous by playing this groove. Okay, and the first 8 notes, that's the first beat, then it goes into the second beat, would be 2E, so it's there's no need for me to show you more about how the whole groove works, because I've broken it down to my style of playing, of course. And we'll try 16th notes, and we'll slot in this 32nd note groove and see how it sounds. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was the groove, and is this something that I wanted to do. You know, I had all these albums just about School Days, the Upper Corn album, Feel the Night by Lee Ritenour. I lost count because he's played on so many albums. I know back in the 60s he formed his own band called Stuff, and he was playing stuff like something out of it, and I hope you've learned something about a little bit of the history with me and Graham Morgan. He wasn't just a teacher. He was a buddy of mine, a good friend, a friend that I could talk to, as we are all human beings. I've gone through the lows and the highs. Okay, so yeah, so I remember what a good advices he gave me, and I've still had it, still stuck in my brain, you know. And there's nothing else to say, I guess. I remember Billy Hyde. He was amazing too. I was only 5. I can remember the age of 5 going into the shop. There was Gary, there was, God bless him, Mike Lynch. He's a drummer from the Drummers Paradise.
Bill Mackin.
Bill Mackin. Billy Hyde himself, the father. I think he passed on in the early 80s, if I could remember. I remember when I had lessons with Morgan, I used to go down to the house, down to the driveway, and he would teach me there too. And then he decided to take me to his house, and I stuck with Graham Morgan for a very long time, as I had a great belief in him. He wasn't bullshitting me around. It wasn't all about the money. It was about him really putting it right down and trying to get it right. And that's what Graham's all about, you know. And some of the things each week, and there was times I had lessons twice a week. Each week I would go there, I would just shake my head, because if you notice, he's always playing something different. If you hear him playing tonight, then you hear him playing tomorrow. We're talking about Graham Morgan here. He will play something different what he actually played the night before. Right? And when he gets to solos, it's just unbelievable. You do something probably 4 bars and get back into it. I like playing jazz, but not as much as that I love to, because there's now jazz bands around in Melbourne, and there's not much money around for that type of music, you know. But I will be going to New York next year, and I'm going to hang out there and see what happens. And I wouldn't mind a couple of lessons for a guy called, as you all know who he is, Dave Weckl. Dave Weckl is probably one of the best drummers in the world. He's my idol, and then there's Steve Gadd. Both of them are my idols. You know, when I first heard Dave Weckl, not only he had great technique, but he was very musical, you know, and it was something that you could really sit down and analyse his playing, and that was really helpful for my brain to take all that in, you know. And there's a lot of great drummers, man, around the world, especially if you go to Los Angeles, if you go to New York. New York is the capital of all top drummers, because that's where they all hang around, right? And if you can slot yourself into working in New York City as a drummer, you're a very lucky man, you know, and would love to do Lady Gaga's work as a drummer, or Pink and all that, you know. So it's a big, big city, the Big Apple, right? So I'm going to do one more groove and I'm just going to pack it in, okay? And it's the same thing.